My father handed me a college acceptance letter and said, I declined your Harvard admission 20 years ago. You never knew you got in. I stared at the yellowed envelope in my hands, dated March 15th, 2003. The Harvard University logo felt like it was burning through my fingers. What do you mean you declined it? My voice came out as a whisper. Dad sat across from me at our kitchen table, the same table where I'd spent countless nights struggling through state university homework while working 2 jobs. You were 18. You didn't know what was best for you, he said, like he was explaining something obvious. Harvard would have changed you, made you think you were better than us. The letter was addressed to me, but it had been opened. Inside was a typed acceptance letter congratulating me on my admission to Harvard's class of 2007, along with a full scholarship offer worth $180,000 over 4 years. Merit-based aid, housing included, research opportunities, everything I'd dreamed about and been told was impossible for someone like me. I wrote back declining on your behalf, Dad continued matter-of-factly. I told them you decided to stay local for family reasons. 20 years of my life suddenly reframed themselves. The $67,000 in student loans I finally paid off last year, working overnight shifts at the factory while my classmates did internships. I called my sister immediately, putting her on speakerphone. Jenna, did you know about Harvard? There was a long pause before she answered. What about Harvard? Her voice was too careful, too measured. Dad just told me he declined my admission 20 years ago. Silence stretched until she finally whispered, I thought you knew. My stomach dropped. You knew? Jenna's voice cracked. He made me promise not to tell. He said it would destroy the family if you left for some fancy school. The betrayal cut deeper than expected. My own sister had watched me struggle for 2 decades, knowing I'd had a golden ticket stolen from me. I hung up and immediately called Harvard's alumni office. The woman transferred me to admissions after I explained my situation. Let me pull your file from 2003, the counselor said. I heard typing. Yes, here it is. Melissa Thompson, full merit scholarship, declined admission in April 2003. The decline letter was unusual, very formal, not like most student responses. She paused. Your academic profile was exceptional, and the personal essay about overcoming financial hardship was particularly compelling. They'd wanted me, really wanted me, and my father had thrown it away like garbage. That afternoon, I confronted my mother in the garden. I spread my student loan documents across the patio table. This is what Dad's decision cost me, I said, pointing to the statements. Mom's reaction was worse than Dad's confession. We did what we thought was best, she said, not even looking at the documents. Harvard would have filled your head with liberal ideas. You would have become one of those people who thinks they're too good for their own family. The casual dismissal of my potential hit me like a physical blow. I wanted to be a doctor, I said quietly. Harvard had pre-med tracks, research opportunities. Instead, I became a medical technician because that's all I could afford. I started calculating the damage, the networking events I couldn't access, the medical school applications I couldn't afford to submit, the research positions that went to Ivy League graduates. My father's decision had cost me approximately $2.3 million in lifetime earnings. He'd stolen my entire professional trajectory and felt righteous about it. My uncle, a lawyer, was furious when he found out. This is educational fraud, he told me. Your father essentially forged your signature on a life-changing document. But what could we prove after 20 years? The damage was done. The statute of limitations expired. My family split into factions. Some said I should be grateful for loving parents who kept me close. Others were horrified that they'd sabotaged my future. Thanksgiving became a battlefield with relatives arguing about parental control versus individual autonomy. 3 months after the revelation, I contacted Harvard again. The dean of admissions agreed to meet with me, and I drove to Cambridge for the first time in my life. Walking through Harvard Yard, seeing the libraries and research buildings, I felt grief so profound it took my breath away. This could have been my world. We can't undo 20 years, the dean said gently, but we can offer you something for the future. Harvard offered me admission to their continuing education program with a significant scholarship for working adults. It wasn't the same as the full undergraduate experience I'd lost, but it was a path forward. I enrolled in their pre-medical post-baccalaureate program, designed for career changers who wanted to become doctors. At 38, I was finally pursuing the dream my father had stolen from me 2 decades earlier. My first day of classes, I called Dad from Harvard Yard. I'm here, I told him. I'm finally where I was supposed to be 20 years ago. His voice was small when he replied, I'm proud of you, but I still think I did the right thing. That was the last conversation we had about it. Dad passed away 6 months later, never seeing me graduate from the Harvard program that led to my medical school acceptance. At his funeral, people praised him as a devoted father who kept his family close. I stood at his grave knowing that love and control aren't the same thing, and that the greatest betrayal often comes wrapped in the language of protection. My Harvard acceptance letter, framed now in my medical school office, serves as a daily reminder that some stolen futures can still be reclaimed, even if they're forever changed by the theft. The 20-year detour my father forced me to take taught me something Harvard never could have. That resilience isn't about avoiding obstacles, but about refusing to let other people's fears define your limits.